Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre a la app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
We're back with another episode of Horror Movie Night, and this week we're talking about a movie that Scott picked. Oh my god, I almost said Phantasm. Phenomena, also known as Creepers, as it was released in
Hardly
the US.
Knowers! Yes!
Now, Scott, I have a couple guesses on why you picked this one. First of all, maybe the star of the movie.
Probably not the star of the movie. I will tell you. We'll get to that.
Okay, but
Whoa.
I know that this is one that dates way back to the Reddit Horror Club days where someone picked this movie that you and I had talked about being huge fans of. And I'm going to throw this out there. I feel pretty confident in saying this is my favorite Dario movie.
Argento.
I
you
love
know who
this
else
movie.
says this is his favorite Dario movie? Dario Argento says this is his favorite Dario Argento
Really?
movie.
Good,
Yeah.
because
which is fucking
it's a
crazy.
good one. All right, so Scott, why?
It's his most bombastic and least misogynistic. In
Ironically,
my,
it is.
It's
Thank
like
fuck.
it's like it kind of is really nice.
But you know what? And we're going to get there. I obviously, we've got so much plot to talk about. But holy shit, the speed run that is the last 10 minutes of this movie
it's great.
is unbelievable. Like there's part of me that's like, I don't even want people to watch the whole movie. I just want them to show up and just hit play when she's in the pit of
In the
corpses
bugs
and
and
just be
corpses,
like,
yeah.
enjoy the last 10 minutes of this movie. But Scott, why did you pick this movie?
Well, it's 40 years old, and it had been on my long list. I think that we're going to see, especially in the second half of this year, that I'm going to pick stuff that I'm a little bit less confident in, but stuff that confident in us having like a super like funny episode, but able to discuss things that I probably wouldn't have picked otherwise. Because I mean, Phenomena it's a fun movie, but it drags ass in the middle.
It's
the
a phenomena movie.
Oh boy, man!
Damn it!
Yeah,
It does.
There's a lot of bullshit in the middle.
There's a lot of bullshit, and which like I kind of like knew comes with the territory, but there's a lot of bullshit between some really amazing moments and sounds and just
So I watched the Anchor Bay DVD that I had, and I'll say that one of my big complaints on that bad boy was no subtitles, because yeah, man, sometimes
Odd
this
to
movie
have an
gets
Argento
slow
with
and you
no
want to
subtitles.
sometimes you want to have those subtitles on so you can only half pay attention. You can like be doing something else and reading what's happening because there's some like just people chatting scenes scattered amongst this movie that kind of just this movie would be a delightful 45-minute supercut. Like
45 minutes is crazy. I would say an hour and 10 because you're cutting out 25, maybe 30 minutes of material, and all of it would be just talking, which is fine. Yeah. I am a bit confused about a couple things, and we'll get there. But I just have to ask you guys a question. Looking at me today, I must look like a dork. and it's got like this
amazing.
decapitated head with like a scorpion and weird bugs on the front
Was
of
that
it.
Hoof-Hearted? Yeah.
Yep.
They're
it's
crazy.
It's Hoof-Hearted Brewery.
Hoof-Hearted.
And it's actually quite good.
That looks awful nice. I went with The Alchemist Focal Banger because, man, this movie is an absolute focal banger. It's so beautiful, and even on my Anchor, I had the Anchor Bay DVD too. For the viewers at home, I have this steelbook collection.
What else is in that collection?
So it's Do You Like Hitchcock, Phenomena, Tenebra, The Card Player, and Trauma. So like two of his like weird thriller, like 2000s thrillers.
Yeah, I was about to say two of those.
Trauma.
Trauma.
Then, but it's an interesting little set that I've gotten from Best Buy a long time ago. If on our TikTok, I'm gonna do
special features. Yeah.
For this episode, so keep an eye out for that.
You know what's
too.
so funny?
But, cheers.
Yeah, cheers to you as well. You know, I never want to watch Trauma, but I always love thinking about that movie's existence because I originally only found out about it because of there's an entire conversation in May where she goes on this weird ass date with the guy with hands, you know? And she's like, he's like, you know, do you want to go do blah, blah, blah? And she was like, you know, you want to see, they're trying to make plans for a date or another date. And he was like, oh, I'm going to go see Trauma. And she's like, what's that? And he's like, oh, you've never seen Trauma? And I'm like, it's just such a funny, I want to say that
it's like a double entendre.
Right? But it's also like such an interesting little time capsule of that era because I believe May was 2004, 2003.
2002.
Oh, 2002. So basically, Trauma must have been very new when it was being written.
Right. That's so true, and it's not as easy to find that stuff. Like that's a video store find.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go to the video store. Yeah. So that I like that.
I also love saying like, oh, you've never seen Trauma, like it's Forrest Gump or Shawshank Redemption. Like,
well, I think that it's also it's funny in his characterization because he's like, oh, you're a weird girl, but she's like, yeah, I'm a weird girl, but I'm not like horror movie weird. I'm like psycho weird, you know? So it's I fucking love that movie. So such a great film.
Oh, so good.
Anyway, let's get into the possible the almost insurmountable task of giving a little explanation of what this movie's all about. We start with, and also I really enjoy the fact that this, even though it's got very odd supernatural elements, it still really feels Giallo. Like it feels so Italian, and it's in the Swiss Transylvania, as they say, but it is so very, very Giallo. So, all right, a young girl is brutally murdered in what we find out is referred to as the Swiss Transylvania, and she gets decapitated, and it looks like the unseen killer drags the rest of her body off. So 8 months later, Professor McGregor, he's a renowned forensic entomologist, so a bug doctor. He kind of does like body farm type stuff, and it's interesting for 1985 for that to be. I mean, that's probably seemed pretty cutting edge at the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I want to start with this attack scene real quick because there's some like cool, effective moments in there, and what I'm thinking about is when she's trying to run away and her hand is next to her face.
That's the best part of the whole scene.
And the scissors go just straight into the hand. I'm like, that is so successfully unnerving. Like,
Argento is really good at using scissors, you know, like in horror. And you know what's so funny is that two things about that. One, I found out that all of the close-ups of the hands killing people or attacking people are the gloved hands are Dario Argento's hands. And that was something that he was doing a lot, apparently. So that was something he did in a lot of his movies at that time. I don't know if it was every single movie in the 80s, but it was kind of like a trademark that he was doing by the time that Phenomena was in production. So that's one thing. And the second thing is actually, I'm not going to say anything about that because it's going to ruin my double feature.
Okay.
Take it back.
I revoke it.
Take it back now, y'all.
All right. So 8 months later, Professor McGregor, played by Donald Pleasance, he is wheelchair bound, and he has like a chimpanzee assistant named Ina. And
God bless this chimp, man.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get into a little bit of the back story of this chimp, and she was an absolute fucking terror. But we'll get there. So her name was Tango. But anyway, so we'll get there.
Tango Unchained.
Holy fuck. That's great. Anyway, so they have the decapitated head that they have found, and it is such a great like close up. This is like such a gross out movie. Like I don't think that a lot of giallos are really gross out, and this has so many bugs and like rotting corpse close-ups, and it's very fun because I like to put myself in, I like to imagine 40 years ago, seeing this movie when it was new and being like, holy fuck, this is so gnarly. Anyway, I was trying to do the math because they say 8 months later they find the head, and the way that I had the math come out, it was that this would have been the events of this film, which I believe take place over the course of, let's say, a week, maybe 10 days, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's
relatively short.
About a week.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount of time.
I'm thinking that week would be early May, which is when this episode is dropping, which was totally coincidental. But the only thing that kind of puts a wrench in that assumption is that later on, Jennifer Connelly's character calls her famous movie star dad's lawyer and is trying to get a hold of him so that she can get picked up from the school that she's at because she hates it, and she feels unsafe. And she says over the phone, she's like, oh, he's gone for a week. He won't be back until after Passover. Now, Passover is typically right before Easter, right? I'm not sure, but
I believe so.
Yeah, right around.
So it would be actually closer to the point where we're recording it. So anyway, I just thought that was very interesting in general, because I'd never given a second thought to when this movie would have occurred. But the math ain't mathin'. In any case, they have this whole back and forth. They're explaining how they are doing forensic research using insects who eat dead flesh and then use it to lay eggs, and then the maggots come. It's every 15 days, and blah blah blah. That's how they do their math. We cut to Jennifer Connelly being driven to this girls' school in Switzerland, and her name is Jennifer Corvino. So it's very easy when I say Jennifer. Even if you've never seen this movie, you know I'm talking about Jennifer Connelly.
I love when they make it easy.
Yeah, Dario Argento doesn't make a lot of things easy, but he did make this easy, which I appreciate. The really interesting side note about that is that Jennifer Connelly was 14 years old when she was shooting this movie, and you don't see that a lot where teenage characters are played by the actual appropriate age. We were just talking about this with Troop Beverly Hills, where one of the characters was like 6-7 years older than her character was supposed to be. In any case, at the time of filming, I did find it interesting that Jennifer Connelly was the age that she was supposed to be playing. That said, on the alternate side of that, it's a very thin line. It's a tightrope when you watch this movie, because I don't feel like Argento was trying to sexualize any of the young girls in this, but the camera lingers on them a little. Maybe it felt different 40 years ago, and maybe I'm just being hyper,
Well, so I'd like to point out something that I figured out in the special features, because you're onto something that I was curious about. I didn't know if it was gonna work into us talking about it, but it's interesting because Luigi Cozzi, who was a special effects artist on here, has a little feature on the DVD, and he's talking about how particularly our end character is not played by a child, but a small by a little person who is decked right, and that's obvious to us. But Luigi is you can't work a child into the night and with all this stuff, and it's yeah, of course. But then that's why I feel like Dario uses Asia Argento in so many films past this, so many of his things, because he's just like, well, it's my kid.
I can do whatever.
Like, I'll fucking, and then he gets real weird about it.
Dude.
And it makes me nervous.
Yeah.
And this,
We're probably never going to discuss
this is where it starts.
like a lot of those movies where Asia was the protagonist, because I don't it gives me a real
which
ick.
is we're going to discuss one on Podpra inevitably, but I don't think we're going to bring it here.
Great. I'm glad that you have Podpra.
It's a little icky
for that.
That's my outlet
for you to scratch that itch that you so badly want to scratch.
All right. So in any case, Jennifer is being driven to this school, and her dad is a famous movie star, and he's never around. But we find out through many conversations that a couple of things about Jennifer. One, she can commune with bugs. That's fucking cool. And so she's like very chill about, this bumblebee that's in the car, and like I've never seen two adults freak out so bad about a single bumblebee in my life. But I mean, and I was looking at it and I'm thinking like, did you need to have an EpiPen, or she's like, they won't hurt me, and she like it was cool. I really like that they probably gave that bee a bunch of like sugar water and put it on Jennifer Connelly's hand for that scene. I mean, I want to give some major props to the bug actors in this movie, because they are really pulling their weight.
Man, they really are doing an amazing job, which is actually, it can usually be 100 times their weight. So they're doing a good job of doing this.
So my double feature is Ant-Man. Thanks for listening to Horror Movie Night. All right, let me speed run through a lot of this. So she is also a vegetarian, and she is a sleepwalker, and she is not well received with any of the girls at her school. But she does befriend Professor McGregor and Ina, because he immediately accepts that she can communicate telepathically with insects. Cool. She then begins to have kind of these sleepwalking premonitions / seeing through the eyes of the killer, the mass killer who murders her, murders another girl, murders her roommate. The knife on a pike kind of thing is a very cool look for a weapon.
Yeah.
Well, and this scene that we're talking about right here, where she sees that happen, also has a very interesting needle drop to accompany it.
Dude, Iron Maiden? Hell yeah. Dario Argento gets a pass on a lot of his poor, less well thought out decisions, because he loved heavy metal in his 80s movies, like Demons. Opera, he, and also the theme for this is so good. I'm absolutely starting the side B of Guitarpenter, which is the Argento part, with the Phenomena theme, because it is so good. It's Claudio Simonetti, so you can't go wrong.
No, so good.
All right, so we continue to have this kind of exposition that Jennifer is just not gonna make it at this school because of her sleepwalking. The headmistress, Frau Buckner, has her go under some, they put her in some apparatus.
That's a crazy thing for a school.
Why do they even have
a
that?
Headmaster to be like, that's like, what?
And the funny thing is that Jennifer is like, oh, you're not going to find anything different. I've gone through all of these tests before. I'm like, was this really like, did they have ESP tests all the time in 1985?
Yeah, like, what kind of records did you send? Did your other school nurse send this boarding school? Anything?
Yeah, wild, absolutely wild. But because of having that test done, the sleepwalking, Frau Buckner's like, I got to get rid of her. Or no, before that, she has another girl who's basically going to spy on Jennifer, and then they all are like making fun of her as the bug girl, and then she's like, she forgives them, and she gives them a wonderful gift, a swarm of flies.
It's everything you might want.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I love you. I love you all.
Here's some bugs.
I love that scene.
Yeah,
so much.
it's. I think the thing I love so much about this movie, and I don't want to say I love this movie. I just love things about it. So let's be clear. But the things that I love about it are just the things that happen that you can't find anywhere else. You know, and so this girl who can control flies. You know, awesome. She does.
It could easily just be something like Suspiria, but it ends up being it's just something completely. And there's not another besides Joe's apartment, which I hope I didn't take anybody's.
Matt's like
feature,
motherfucker.
The controlling sort
God
of
damn it.
bugs. It's kind of unheard of. It doesn't do it anymore. People don't do that.
No, I mean I would love to see more movies where somebody has the mutant power to control bugs. In any case. She goes back to this is right before Professor McGregor gets murdered by the unseen assailant, and Ina has to watch helplessly. But right before that, Jennifer wakes up from her like little nippy nap after controlling all those flies, realizes that she's going to get carted off to a mental asylum, runs away from school, goes to see Professor McGregor. He gives her one of the sarcophagus flies from the glove that she found in one of her previous sleepwalking excursions, and it has now grown into a full-fledged fly. So this must have taken over the place over the course of 2 weeks, right? Yeah. So this fly now they're pals, and she communicates with it and says, "Take me to where you come from," and it takes her to this abandoned cottage, and then she gets scared away by a groundskeeper. But that is where all of the dead girl bodies are being held by the killer. Frau Buckner takes Jennifer to her house. She tries to sedate her, but it makes Jennifer sick. And so she's like, you know what? I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. She just knocks her over the head. I missed the part where there's whole Inspector Geiger backstory. Where he's like the Swiss policeman who's detective, whatever, who's trying to also crack this case of this unknown killer of girls at this school. He comes and he asks about this mental hospital that Frau Buckner used to work at, and she admits yes, she worked there, and the story unfolds that she was essayed by an inmate or two there, and that she had a baby from that, and his name's Patua. He's got a malformed face, and he lives in the basement of the house, which is also where all of the bodies are, in a pool of sludge and maggots. Of course, if there's a pool of sludge and maggots, Dario Argento isn't going to let that go to waste, so he drops Jennifer right into it. We get the grossest scene.
This is the beginning
she
of
hated
what
that,
is
by the way.
the craziest 10 minutes to end a movie. See, now what's interesting is I know I own the DVD, so I obviously have watched it once before, but I think I've watched Creepers way more, which is edit it down to 83 minutes.
Oh,
it's cut down to 83 minutes, and it's rearranged and everything. Ending is still definitively the same, though, because this was like this is the most immediately like I remember this moment shot. You know what I mean? Like it sticks with you. Yeah. It's fucked up. It's gross. It's disgusting. But boy, is it lodged.
It's sticky.
It's
for sure.
lodged in your brains because of it.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine. So gooey. And we've just been so close up with insects all movie, and now this person gets completely dropped in. And I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah. It's very.
But she gets out.
She does get out, and then we get some more kills.
Might be worse.
You wonder just die by swallowing that insect sludge. That'd be
if I fell into a vat of insects, I'd kill myself.
Listen,
I would not
drowning
come back
by
out and
insect
live
glue
life.
is top 3 worst ways to go. I've just decided that is the worst.
For sure. But yes, she escapes, and my God, the 10 minutes that ensue at this point, because we get this child in the corner.
Yeah.
We get the reveal of this face that's like, I mean, I'll steal someone's potential double feature, but giving off some real Funhouse vibes with this face.
You're only giving up your own double feature for that, by the way.
Don't worry. I know that my double feature is secure. But yeah, it's.
I hope I get it just to piss you off.
Stitch closed eyes, like crazy mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's being chased by this child, finds a motorboat. Child charges her with a spear.
Yeah, it's badass.
It's so
it is sometimes a long walk, but it is really it is so amazing. This last 10, 15
Oh, and then
Pat's
How
definitively 10 minutes.
Yeah, Matt wouldn't keep saying 10 minutes if he hadn't.
No,
tracked
because I could not believe it was like one of those things
All
where
the
I
things
kept being like, how much longer? And I'm like, there's still 5 minutes. Like it's like so much happens so fast that it feels like 30 minutes, but it's genuinely 10.
Yeah. All right. So he tries to spear Jennifer. So Patow tries to spear Jennifer, misses, hits the boat's gas tank that she's trying to escape on. She then uses her fly powers, and I just had a realization, guys. Can we call it pest control?
Scott, I think we have a new shirt. It's just the Creepers cover that says pest control.
Oh man!
But that's so good.
She fights him with her bugs, and then
the bugs are like ripping his skin off as far as you can tell. Like he's like all bloody under there.
Yeah. So did you read this thing? So the guy who played the son, his name was David Marotta, I believe is how you say it. He said that his death scene involved being smeared with glucose before having 40 million insects released on him. And I mean, people talk about doing all these crazy things to be like in horror movies, and the director's kind of being like, "Oh, you'll be fine." That might be the craziest part of this movie.
Yeah,
That's crazy. Tony Todd years later would have enough chutzpah to ask for money for this. I wonder if this dude even knew that was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even know? Also, what is your insect wrangler like? Like, what is that?
They went to the body farm. They got sarcophagus flies, and then they brought them, and they were like, this looks like 40K,
This is, okay, so this is kind of fucked up. I'm looking around right now. Not only is the character name Pateau, which I think is how we're supposed to pronounce it.
It's a real Pateau syndrome.
It's
what's
because
named
of the syndrome that he's named after what the birth defect is.
It's a chromosomal abnormality.
That's fucking wild.
I think that Argento was like
rude.
Yeah, Argento probably was like, you know what? I've put enough mental energy into these characters. We could just name this one after what it really is.
Yeah.
Feels really able. It feels really.
It does, very much so.
It was 1985 in Argento. I'm not surprised by any of that. We also we get like kind of this. I think that Argento was like, there's not enough murder in this, and so the lawyer that Jennifer was talking to on the phone just randomly shows up, and he gets decapitated by Bruckner.
Funny.
Yeah.
It's so out of no. It's also one of those. We're going to go back to Matt Kelly's scene analysis when we talked about alligator, and I was breaking down how the logistics of where the alligator's head is make no sense. I love that there is a choice to have this wide shot where you can clearly see nobody anywhere near this staircase that he's running down, which just delights me on how fast she must have come running out of the woods, because like it is bolted, it's not like it's like a heavily wooded area down that staircase. It's like clear. It's so good. That is the moment I've always remembered about this movie, is that in the last like 2 minutes you think it's over, and then there's just a surprise decapitation,
and then you get the straight razor wielding chimpanzee killer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is kind of a twofer right in that last second there. Now, the funniest thing about this, and I wanted to bring up Tanga, not Tango. Her name was Tanga, the chimp. She, this is crazy. She was incredibly difficult to direct. One, because Argento wanted to avoid it coming off as comical, because it's an acting chimpanzee, right? he really didn't want to show her butt on screen. So he tried very hard to either have her shot from the front or have her, anything with a table below her waist so that you didn't see her butt. Like literally, I can only think of like 2 times you see her butt, and one of them is when she's going to go get the medicine, and the other one when she's looking out the window, which is so funny to me. But additionally, during the film's climax, the hand wielding the straight razor hitting Frau Bruckner was Tanga's own. She was the one holding this dull straight razor, and she scarred that actor. Her name was Daria Nicolodi, I believe. Daria Nicolodi. And that scene, which was shot earlier on in the movie for whatever reason, earlier on in the filming, Tanga brutally attacked Jennifer Connelly, bit off part of one of her fucking fingers, and they had to retrieve it from Tanga, run Jennifer Connelly and her severed piece of finger to a hospital and have it fucking reattached. So
to think that she even ever acted again after that.
Not only did she act again, the next movie she did was opera. Like she went back.
Dude.
Wait, Jennifer Connelly was in opera?
No. Oh, sorry. I'm talking about the woman who got attacked by the straight razor. Yeah, Jennifer Connelly did
Jennifer
not do
Connelly is the one who had
Dario
the piece of her finger cut off, bit off.
Yeah.
The fact that she even became Jennifer Connelly, continued to act and became Jennifer Connelly after that is crazy.
I think the crazier thing, and I'd love to find this clip, is that the way we know this story is because she told Conan about it in 2008.
It took all this time.
Oh,
it was
that's great.
Years and years. 20 plus years, 23 years after this movie came out that Jennifer Connelly was on Conan and told the story. And it's and I just don't know how a 14-year-old could. I mean, maybe you're more resilient at 14 years old, but I mean, if
maybe,
and then she had to work with
it's like breaking your arm playing
after, because that happened early on in the filming, and Tango was incredibly aggressive to Jennifer Connelly the rest of the shoot.
Listen, when I was 6 years old, my neighbor had a Rottweiler, and I held the ball playing. They were like, play fetch, like it's okay, and this was a good moment. But I held the tennis ball a little too long, and the dog got excited and bit my finger, and that has instilled in me a complete fear, a very strong fear of dogs. I'm much better now, but it instilled in me a years long fear of medium to large dogs. The fact that Jennifer Connelly probably had to go on set maybe a few days later and act with this monkey again, this chimp, is wild.
I feel like we may have buried a little bit of information about the actress who's attacked by the monkey on
Daria
screen.
Whatever. Yeah.
I think she's still. She was doing conventions maybe she's still doing conventions.
Well, no, because she died in 2020, so I don't think she's still doing conventions.
Nope,
but she was.
Are they like taking her ashes to conventions? Because I wouldn't put it past some people.
That's a very Italian thing to have done. Maybe
she was married to Dario Argento.
So is Dario and Daria?
Yeah,
Wild.
Dario and Daria. They divorced after
brutal.
this movie, but she still did opera for him. And that she claims that she wrote Suspiria and Inferno.
Oh, shit.
And she also has a screenplay writing credit for Pangini Horror that we covered. She was the writer of that that
Paganini Horror is so fun.
That's
too.
Amazing. I gotta revisit that.
Do you think that Paganini Horror is Phantom of the Opera enough? Because it feels kind of like Phantom of the Opera.
I feel like I feel like, and this is down the line, but there's probably going to be some offshoots or just like because we talked about this on Darkman too. Like I don't think Darkman's enough for an episode to talk about it, but the references that are included, I think Paganini would have a little bit of that.
Fair enough.
Maybe just because I want to watch it again.
Any excuse.
Talk about it.
Here it is, guys. Welcome to my hometown's video store.
Sweet, I didn't even know these still existed.
Well, they haven't had a new release since like 2004, but it's still standing. Why don't you guys look around and rent something? It's on me.
Okay, I'm done.
What?
I got the best of 1987, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon, and Predator.
Predator's good, but Predator 2 is better.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, all those old action films, the sequels are better. RoboCop 2, Predator 2, Highlander 2.
Can't argue with Highlander 2.
Do they have any anime?
Yep. If you look, it's right over there.
That's like 5 tapes.
Yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Steve, what are you renting?
I'll probably rent some bad sci-fi. Maybe something with Will Smith.
Nice. Get some Tim Burton Planet of the Apes while you're at it.
Isn't that the one where you wanted to bang the girl monkey?
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
I'm Chris.
I'm Brad.
We are a VHS podcast that breaks down the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes. Do you miss the old days before the internet when you only talked about the films you watched with your friends? We watch these old tapes and look for cool trailers, bizarre promos, and break them down for your entertainment.
If you like sweaty action movies, crappy sci-fi, or schlocky horror films and hate reading, listen to Analog Jones.
Sometimes we even do research and get our facts right on these old movies.
Even if we don't, it's on the internet. It's facts now.
So search for Analog Jones and find us at Anything That Plays podcast.
Scott, speaking of things that you need to or want to watch, what would your double feature be if you had some friends over to watch this bad boy?
If they were still interested in hanging out with me after the phenomenon that is Phenomena, I'm going to go with a movie that is very directly influenced by Argento. I'm going to go with Malignant because the amount of scissor kills in this and like sharp objects and the close-ups are very obviously what Malignant was kind of aping. I didn't even mean.
Right. So this movie towards the end ends with a woman in a pile of mud surrounded by corpses. So I'm not even going to leave where this DVD is on my shelving unit. I'm just going to go a couple movies down the line and grab Poltergeist to pop in.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. I had that written down too. I did have Saturday Night Fever just for the Bee Gees, but what I am going to do is, and I already said Joe's Apartment, but there's an artist. His name is Jimmy Gonzalez. He's a filmmaker, but he's also a DJ, a VJ, who has remixed. Well, I know him because he did a Video Nasties soundtrack and film, like clip compilation, like mix, which I love, which I actually watched after Phenomena because I was like, this is the vibe I want. But he did one called, which I don't own, but he did one called Last Night a DJ Took My Life, which is a compilation of Giallo films and soundtracks mixed together, and it is like one of you know how we've talked about putting on trailers or putting on clip shows or something at gatherings and just having something on in the background. Like this is sort of like the party mix of Giallo. So and Phenomena to me is like and a lot of times like sort of the most music video-y of Argento's stuff, like where you could just like kind of throw it on and watch it. Despite maybe the Creepers version would be the way to do it, a little less lag, but just that. So Space Tunes is the artist's name, and it's one word with a Z, and it's just that compilation is so great. So I would watch that again just to get some more without having to sit through another full maybe Argento movie.
Love that. And if you are loving everything that we're doing, there's so many places that you can go and support. You can get a couple t-shirts from us on our Dasherly website. That is hmnpodcast.dasherly.com. Get these reduce, reuse, reanimate shirts that Scott and I are both wearing. Did not plan on that.
No. But you should probably buy them from hmnpodcast.com first because we did print some and we have a couple extra.
That's true.
And we'll send you extra little fun stuff too.
Yeah, then go to hmnpodcast.com first and see if we run out of these bad boys, and then go over to our Dasherly. But in addition to all of that, go and check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/HMNpodcast. Sign up for our newsletter by emailing us at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. And find us on all of our socials, HMN Podcast everywhere, including Letterboxd, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that good jazz. And now, Scott, what have you been diving into, checking out, etc.?
All right, so it's just a quick little thing. Because there's not much to say about it, but I finally watched Creature Commandos on Max, which is a DC cartoon, DC's Gunverse cartoon.
Yeah.
And so I think it was only 8 or 9 episodes, but it was a lot of fun. It was that kind of that animation style that they do for the is not quite as anime as Castlevania, but it also is very similar to that. And there's a lot of gore and some fun voice acting in it. I enjoyed it. I kind of was scratching my head about the little wraparound in the very end of the last episode, but it's a good time. I'm hoping that we get to see some of the Creature Commandos in live action Gunverse DC stuff, because like Weasel from Gunn's Suicide Squad has reprised its role in here, also still voiced by Sean Gunn, but Sean Gunn also voices another character called G.I. Robot, and G.I. Robot hates Nazis, which is awesome. We also have Alan Tudyk, who's playing Dr. Phosphorus. We have David Harbour, who's playing Frankenstein. Frank Grillo plays Rick Flag Sr. They're good. I mean, it's a nice little cast of voice actors. Just some silly fun. I think the episodes are 24 minutes long, so I burnt through it over the course of a couple nights.
Love it. I'm going to bounce off of that with another superhero TV show, because by the time this comes out, it'll be done. But Daredevil Born Again. I remember when we were first discussing that this was going to be directed by Moorhead and Benson, it was like, oh, that's really cool. And then there was this element of, they had announced it was going to be darker than the original series. And I think a lot of people who loved the first 3 seasons of Daredevil were kind of like, how much darker can it possibly get? Yeah. We watched Kingpin smash a dude's face in a car door in the first season. Well, they found out a way, and that way is introducing the character of Muse, who is a street artist who uses victims' blood in all of his paintings by draining them entirely. And like, there's literally a scene straight out of Texas Chainsaw where someone is strapped down, having their blood drained out of them while they look at a bunch of drained corpses dangling from hooks in the subways of New York City. So they found a way to make it gnarly. Now
you really sold me on it, because I was like on the fence, but yeah.
No, it's good. It's definitely better than season 2 of Daredevil. Not so far. I mean, we've got 2 episodes left to go at the time that we're recording this. So far, I don't think it's better than seasons 1 or 3, but those are like immaculate episodes or seasons of television to begin with. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was fun. And you know what it does that I love, Scott? Because it's the Disney Plus version of things, 40-minute episodes instead of hour-long episodes. So
right on.
Can't complain about that. But yeah, it's as good as I was hoping it would be. But yeah, I had to give a shout out to the Muse character, because that was fucking wild.
I had forgotten that I had heard that they were gonna. I think that the last I'd heard was that they were contemplating putting that character in, but knowing that they did,
he's a new character.
Yeah,
was just introduced in like the last 10 years.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about him until I read an article. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right, fucking, I'm into this. Yeah. I'm into this fucked up version of Daredevil. So Kyle, you can take us home.
I don't think I talked about this flick, but it deserves to be talked about a bit. It's a movie called Ephus. And if you follow me on social media, you might have seen me post about it. But Ephus is a movie about baseball. And it's about, but it's also a lot more than that. And it came out this year, and it's about a group of mostly older guys, mostly past their prime, mostly just recreationally playing baseball on the last day that a field is going to exist before it's demolished, before it's going to be built upon. And this is in October, and it's just a really lovely piece about. There's not a big like narrative arc. It's just a lot of characters on different teams that have their own like shit going on, but they're here to kind of pay their respects. But it's also like this thing about masculine relationships and being present for a thing that's going to come to an end, but not being attentive to the emotions of it, but then also like in the guise of baseball, which is at this point in the movie is almost 100-year-old sport. It's it's a really lovely. Somebody described it as like an art film about baseball. Somebody actually said finally an art film or a baseball art film, and nobody said finally, but it is a really, really lovely piece. I have been following it because John R. Smith Jr., who is the lead in my short film The Woodsman, was part of it. And when this film went out on the festival circuit, he was like the promo image, and like I was just watching it and being
Is it a recent film?
About his involvement. Yeah. It's actually going to come out. If it's not already on VOD at the time of this recording, it's going to be in the next month or two. But it should be out soon. Music Box Films put it out, and it's really, really worth it. And so not only that, John was my lead-in, but two of our actors that were also in who are in my more recent short that should be coming out soon are also in it. One of our production assistants was on board, so it's just this New England film community had sort of involved themselves in this film, and then in turn in my film, and it's one of those things where you just hope that your friend's thing that they're involved in is good, and not only is this good, it's a really fucking incredible film. It's called EFIS, and I highly recommend people check it out. You don't have to be it's a sports movie, but you don't have to be a sports fan. It's not about a sports team trying to overcome. It's not the Mighty Ducks. It's not it's not Field of Dreams. It's not any of that stuff really. It's kind of its own thing. But I really loved it.
Weird fun fact about Matt Kelly. Hate watching most sports. Love watching a good sports movie. Just always found I remember.
Yeah.
I think it was when I lived in California. My parents came out to visit me, and we went and saw Moneyball. And I'm like, I could not care. I maybe watched. I actively maybe watch one baseball game a year. That's not like me being at a party with nothing to do and baseball's on the television. But I'll watch the shit out of Moneyball. It's very confusing aspect of my life. Continuing confusing aspects of our life, things that bring us comfort. Stay tuned next week for more Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.